Our new sponsor at NGSC Sports is Cool Eye Cover, and as you can imagine, we are talking sunglasses. The perfect time for our sponsor is summer, as we all need those sunglasses. Our sponsor even has a great deal as an NGSC Sports partner. If you email esgmarketingsolutions@gmail.com, they will give you a 50% discount on your first pair of sunglasses. Visit www.cooleyecover.com and choose your glasses to receive the discount and email esgmarketingsolutions@gmail.com for the discount coupon. We thank Cool Eye Cover for joining NGSC Sports as our new sponsor. This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
She's like, oh, I hope he gets an eye back. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, just wait. It'll be so worth it.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, man.
And we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about what ended up.
We actually get to talk about Marvel this week because of the Phase 4 shit came out.
Oh my god, it's going to be so much fun.
It officially came out. We've talked about it, but now we get to officially talk something about it.
We do. And we will talk about it during the Watch 4 segment in this week's edition of the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 272. I am Edward Green, joined as always by my Calling Crime, Wes Bradshaw, and we have a lot to talk about here. Of course, we're going to be hitting soccer. We are going to continue on with our Premier League 2018-19 season in review, and it's right on time. We're going to hit the mid.
While everyone else bores you with preseason talk, we're telling you about last year.
How can you truly have a preseason preview if you don't review what happened last year? History. What's the word I'm looking for? History defines the present. It's not defines, but history. Anyway, you got to know your history. You got to know the history. So we'll be hitting the mid table before we do the top 6 teams from last year. Next week, we'll also have news and notes, some big transfers and deals going down this week. One that got deleted from news and notes before I sent it out today because it still hasn't happened yet. So fuck off. And of course, we'll hit the Watch 4, as I mentioned, with all the Marvel news from Comic-Con this weekend, and then we'll have a very brief So Elite Raw to wrap things up.
We've got a big Watch 4 this week. We've got our Marvel news, and then I went and saw a movie. I've seen 2 movies since last week.
I know you saw one today.
I did. I saw one over the weekend. And then the one that I really, really want to see starts on Friday. So, yeah, it's all good.
Which one is the one on Friday?
You'll just have to wait.
Oh, that's a tease. Set them up and knock them down, boys. All right. As always, the podcast is presented by NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop, as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. Alicia does a lot of great sports stuff, but hey, maybe you got really excited about the Marvel news over the weekend. Maybe you want a Spider-Man body pillow or ottoman, or hey, maybe you're a DC fan. That Harley Quinn cartoon looks pretty good. Hey, check that out, and maybe you want a Harley Quinn body pillow. I don't know, but go check out Alicia's Pillows and Things on Facebook. Maybe she'll get you a special request there.
Might be get up next to Harley Quinn.
Yes.
It wouldn't end well, but you know.
It's true. She has a very big hammer. So go check out Alicia's Pills and Things on Facebook, and for more great deals from her, visit ngscsports.com. Also, hey, it's summer. It's blazingly hot, or at least it was last week, but now it's actually cooled off rather nicely here.
God, it's amazing outside right now.
Juicy, just gorgeous. But hey, sun's still bright out there, so if you need the proper protective eyewear for the summer, go to cooleyecover.com. Get you some great deals on great sunglasses there. Finally, also, if you have the Roku device, visit the Ultimate Sports Channel for free sports programming. You can find them online at esgsportsgroup.com or on the social medias at Nasha Sports. So go check those guys out. All right, let us hit, without further ado, our mid-table grades. So what we talked about last week was we were going to pick a couple teams to really go in depth on, and the rest we're going to go really quickly through, just throwing out grades. So we're going from 15th, which was Burnley, up to 7th, which was Wolves. Wes, I was going to leave it up to you. Which 3 teams, or 4 if you're feeling feisty, did you want to do this week?
I was thinking Wolves.
Okay.
I was thinking throw some West Ham in there. We never talk about West Ham, do we?
Not in a good way, no.
We never talk about West Ham. And let's do Leicester.
Okay. All right. We'll hit those 3 teams. So that means we can go through them from 15 to 11 pretty quickly here. Burnley finishes in 15th with 40 points, just 1 point ahead of Southampton and 5 back of their next closest team. Negative 23 goal differential, 68 goals allowed, which is one of the worst in the Premier League. Not something we've seen a lot with Sean Dyche really preaching defense for his teams, I think, but there's still the same lack of goal scoring as compared to other teams. Burnley also, of course, did not make it out of the Europa qualifying stage, so did not even get to play that many Thursday nights, and still it really transferred into the beginning of their season. A very bad start. They recovered okay. They kept the course with Sean Dyche, which I think was a good thing. But overall, from where they were, I believe they finished 7th in the previous season, all the way down out of 15th. Again, they recovered pretty well towards the end of the season. I'm still going to give them a D, because the short time they were in Europa shouldn't have mattered that much. I think they took a huge step back, so I'm giving Burnley a D.
I'll throw them a D as well. I'll throw them the D in. They stayed up. Give them that. Yeah. Good on them. But they had really gotten some expectations up from their previous season. They brought in Joe Hart. That was supposed to be an upgrade. It wasn't. No. And they don't score enough for their defense to go to shit like it did. Mm-hmm. So, it was pretty sad. It was a pretty tough season for Burnley, but they stayed up, so you can't give them an F.
You can't. I'm not going to give an F to Bournemouth either. They finished in 14th, level on points for 13th, but with a worse goal differential. Shipped in 70 goals. That is the most goals allowed outside of the relegation zone, and even more than Cardiff did when they got relegated. Of course, they still were able to score 56 goals. That is the most goals outside of the top 6. So, once again, Bournemouth really shaping that identity. I want to see them make a bigger commitment to that defense over time. I think this has been Eddie Howe's calling card with with this Bournemouth team since they've been promoted. They play exciting matches, but like Burnley, I think they took a little bit of a step back this year. I'm gonna give them a C-. I'm not gonna go full down into D territory. I do think there's still more room for this team to keep growing, but I want to start to see them taking those next steps. And even though it's going to be tougher because there are going to be good teams, I want to see them jump back into the top half of the table. I think this team is good enough. I think the manager is good enough. I want to see more from them. So for this past season, though, I'm going to give them a C-.
Yeah, I think we want to expect more from Bournemouth, excuse me,
sure,
because they are exciting. They do play an attractive brand of football. They've got the maybe the great young English managerial hope at this point in Eddie Howe. I think sometimes we forget that this was their third ever top flight season.
Absolutely. All the way from the bottom.
And this was a team that, after that first season, maybe weren't supposed to stay up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? Well, hey, second season, well, they'll do like, say, Huddersfield Town, and they'll go down. No, they stayed up. Third season, they're solidifying themselves in the top flight. So for right now, you can't give them but so much shit, even if you want to expect more.
Sure.
I'll give them a C. I'll give them a C.
That's fair.
Season. I do think they've somewhat set themselves up now that you've solidified. It is time to start making some steps forward and maybe get yourself into that top half of the table. It's not going to be easy because of, as we talked about, other teams, and they've strengthened.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, it's time for Bournemouth to start moving up a little bit. But I'll give them a C for the season.
Yeah, and even if they can't make the top half of the table, I want to see them get closer. Right now, they finished 7 points away from 10th. If they finish 11th next season, 1 point out of 10th, I would very much consider that growth and them advancing forward. So, because as you said, the top half of this table, even though we sometimes like to shit on Arsenal and United and Chelsea a little bit, they're still very strong. And teams like Wolves, Leicester especially, even maybe a little bit Everton, are still also getting better. So that top half of the table is getting very strong. 13th, the team Bournemouth was level in points with, is Newcastle. We cannot put what has happened this summer into our grade. That does not count. I'm also going to give Newcastle a C. I feel like I'm going to probably be very wrong here. I feel like they made a run in one of the competitions. I'm probably going to be proven wrong here really quickly. Yeah, I'm totally wrong. But they played some decent football. They played, of course, Liverpool close. At the end of the season, needed that late Divock Origi winner for them to get the win at Newcastle. They played teams pretty well this season. And again, that's, they beat Manchester City. That was famously Manchester City's last non-win for the rest of the season. So this team did have some good moments. And I'm just, again, not coloring with what has gone on this summer for them. I'm going to give them a C. You also expect maybe a little more from the cups. They got in the first round of the League Cup. The second round, I guess, is where they entered, and then they won one match in the FA Cup, and then they were out to Watford. So you want to see one of those mid-table clubs maybe make a bit of a run in the cups if they're not challenging for the top of the Premier League. So I'm going to give them overall a C, and then I'm going to give their summer an F. So.
I'm going to give them a C, and then I'm going to take away and make it a C- just because Mike Ashley is Mike Ashley.
That's fine. I tried to stop him, but I couldn't.
Yeah, he's the worst freaking owner in the Premier League. You looked at some of the guys who, really came around for him. Ayoze Perez really came around. Salman Rondon.
There was another guy that was really good.
Doing some goals.
Is it Jack Clark? Or who am I thinking of?
No, Jack Clark played for Leeds.
Yeah. Oh God.
Jack Cork.
Jack.
Of course, they got Miguel Almiron in January from Atlanta United, and he did well until he picked up an injury.
I feel like there was a really young player that came over. I remember the one match I saw him. I feel like he got a red card in it, but
of course, there's Sean Longstaff, who Manchester United have been trying to get all summer.
That might have been who I was thinking of, actually.
So Newcastle were really showing some promise by the end of the year. Rafa once again was just not given enough bullets for this gunfight.
No, not at all.
And I think once again he did a good job to keep them in the top flight, and this time was kind of pushing up into that mid-table. Now, here's the problem. A couple of those guys I just mentioned, Ayoze Perez, Solomon Rondon, who did the scoring, they're gone. Oh, Jesus Christ, they're gone. God, who did they just sign?
Newcastle?
Jolinho.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in the news and notes. Yeah.
But, they're sort of trying, but it's just still the whole spectrum of Mike Ashley is just God. I mean, they'll never be more than about what they were this year with Mike Ashley at the ownership of that squad, that team.
Real quick, I don't want to go into too big of a tangent because we do want to keep this moving, but real quick, because you mentioned that you think he's the worst owner in the Premier League. Who is worse, Mike Ashley or Stan Kroenke?
I mean, at least Arsenal are still up there. Somewhere.
That's fine. Okay, that's fair. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, Stan Kroenke's bad, but I mean, Mike Ashley it's like he keeps teasing people that he's going to sell the club. And he just won't do it.
Oh, well, another club that rebounded pretty well over the course of the season after a pretty bad start. That is Crystal Palace, finished 12th in the league with 49 points. Again, not a great start to the season, but really came on in the back half. After the start of February, won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I believe, of their final, I'm going to say 15 matches. Granted, some of those were to Huddersfield, as well as Cardiff and Bournemouth, but they also won at Arsenal. They also beat Leicester at Leicester at a time when Leicester was good. So this was a pretty good team. Also made a decent run in the FA Cup before losing to Watford in the quarters. Had some good performances this year from Andros Townsend as well as Luka Milivojevic. So there's some decent players on this team, as well as the off again Wilfried Zaha. I'm still also going to give them a C, maybe a C plus. I thought they really came into their own in the back half of the season, and if they could have had that same sort of consistency in the first half, this could have been a top 10 team for sure. So we'll see again what they do in the transfer market this summer, but I'm going to give Crystal Palace, I'm going to stick with C for their previous season.
I'm going to give them a C as well. I think this is a team that they're capable of a little more than what they did. That said, you talk about big players for them. Wilfried Zaha obviously is their star man. A lot of rumors going on about him right now. Will he start the season? Still in the Crystal Palace shirt. Apparently he's getting pretty vocal that he wants out. And then their other star man, their breakout player of the year, was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who, as we know, no longer plays for him. He's now Manchester United's property. So, I mean, that's going to be a big loss for him. That was a guy who, was one of the better fullbacks in the league this season, and he's not there no more. There's always, to me, as long as Roy Hodgson is the manager, I'm sorry, there's a ceiling.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because you're not going to get top players that want to come play for Roy Hodgson. As long as they keep having to count on Christian Benteke, that's just bad all around. God, that might be the best deal of the Mike Edwards era at Liverpool. Just selling him, not only just selling him and getting something for him, but getting all our money back for him. Oh man, that was so great. Oh, love you, Crystal Palace. Mwah! For taking that sack of shit off our hands. But I can't give them more than a C. And this coming up season, especially if they lose Zaha, they could be in a relegation battle if they lose Zaha. But even if they keep him, I don't see them finding a way to really break into that top 10.
All right. Next team is the 11th place team from last year. That was Watford. Watford got off to a very fast start, won their first 4 matches of the year, including a win on September 2nd against Tottenham, and then lost their next match to Manchester United. Played pretty decently again in the first half, kind of petered out towards the end, but they also made a run to the finals of the FA Cup, where they were unceremoniously pounded by Manchester City. But hey, that happened to a lot of teams this year. They made a very brief run in the League Cup. So I'm going to pair some of that struggles in the back half with the toll that the FA Cup can take on a team, especially a team like a Watford that doesn't have a ton of depth and ability to rotate as well, playing all these extra matches. So I'm actually going to give them a B minus. Because I'm going to cut them a little bit of slack for the way they ended the season, especially with 3 straight losses, 2 of those at home, especially in the last day of the season to West Ham, which is a 4-1 loss. But, you make a final of a domestic cup, that's really big, especially for a team like Watford, who, again, one of these teams that's came up recently and has been trying to build something. And I think that's really good for them to do. Sucks that they lost the final in such an uncompetitive way, but hey, that's Manchester City. That's kind of what they did to some teams last year. Not in the Champions League, but that's another story. So I'm going to give Watford a B- because I think that really carried a lot of weight, and I'm willing to let the back end of the season slide for that. So B- for Watford.
I think I'm going to end up with a B-, but they're really pushing a B for me. As you said, great start to the season. But, they had injuries, and injuries are the great equalizer, especially when you're not one of those top teams who have the depth of, say, a Man City or a Liverpool or what Chelsea or the rest of them are supposed to have. They still end up this is their best ever finish in the Premier League. I mean, they finished 11th on 50 points. As you said, made that run to the FA Cup final. So, you got to give them a little bonus point for that. I'm going to tell you something that I think is really important for them. They're going into this next season with the same manager.
Yeah.
That
was a meme,
yeah. Javi Gracia survived the entire season, had a great finish, had a great, overall season for them. And where there was some worry that they were going to lose them in the offseason, instead, now they're going to go into the season with their manager, have everything intact. And I think that's really, really big for Watford. I think it's really big that they're going to go into the season somewhat stable for the first time in a long time. And they're going to look to improve on that 50-point finish from this season.
All right. Well, then let's finish. The first team now we're going to talk about a little more in depth. The last team with a negative goal differential, but also the team that pipped Watford on the last day of the season by beating them at Watford to take 10th place. That was West Ham. And this was a team, oh boy, did they struggle at the beginning of the season with a brutal schedule, having to face Liverpool at Anfield to start off, then getting Bournemouth at home, then at Arsenal, and then home to Wolves. That is a very tough slate to the season. But hey, then they turned it around against some good teams, won at Everton, drew at home against Chelsea, and then beat United at home. So they picked it up from there and had a pretty good, consistent trek through the rest of the season. Finished off with 3 straight wins to end it. Didn't make any big runs in the Cups. Just a couple wins here and there. So I'm also going to give them, similarly to Watford, I'm going to give them a B-. Again, they put that this was a start to a season that could have sunk a lot of teams, but I feel like they looked at the schedule and said, okay, maybe we should have beaten Bournemouth at home, but the rest, pretty understandable losses at the end of the day. Now let's just pick up and not let our heads get down and do a good job from here on out. And they really, really did. I was very impressed with the fight that this West Ham team showed throughout the rest of the season, and to quickly pick themselves up out of the relegation zone and get back into that top half of the table. And of course, credit, a lot to their manager, Manuel Pellegrini. We've talked about how much experience he has, having won a title at Manchester City. To bring that to a club like West Ham is so big. And I think he had a very capable first season at the helm of West Ham. So I'm going to give them a B-. And I think, depending on what happens, again, a lot still to be decided. You never know what happens over the course of the season. I think the future actually looks pretty good for West Ham going forward.
Take a look at West Ham. They did have that really bad start, but, we were talking about that at the beginning of the year. This is going to be a very tough start, but things should pick up. They hit a couple of really good runs of form during the season. They had that really strong finish. Only the second time they finished in the top 10 over the past 6 seasons. So, I mean, that's great. It was somewhat disappointing when you start looking at the money they spent in the offseason.
Sure.
Because they did put some money into the team. They did bring in Pellegrini, who I think in his second season should do even better with this group. Felipe Anderson, Marko Arnautovic had good seasons, scoring up front and making things happen. They found a real diamond in the rough in Issa Diop, young center back who, was his name was bandied about some this summer to make a move to one of the bigger clubs. He's going to stick around. Not even the midseason acquisition of the great Samir Nasri could really derail this group. I think for West Ham, it turned out to be a solid season for them, and one that I think they should be looking to build on this season. They need to make a move into the top 10, and push one or two of those teams ahead of them out.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were so close to finishing inside of the top 10, finishing right there on 10th. Level on points with our next team, another one you want to take, I think, a little bit of a closer look at, and that's the Foxes of Leicester City. 52 points, just like West Ham had, but a positive goal differential allowed them to finish just ahead. Of course, this was a team that dealt with unspeakable tragedy when their owner died in a helicopter crash just outside of the King Power Stadium back in late October. That was horrible, but the team, kept going, and there was some decent run of form in there. And of course, the other big news from a positive standpoint for the club, getting Brendan Rodgers, which is, as much as we like to meme about him, and it's fun to do so sometimes, has really seemed to have brought, I almost want to say, a little bit of a swagger to this team. And with guys like, Jamie Vardy, swagger's not really much of a problem with him. But I think this was a club that had kind of, I don't want to say lost their way, but considering they just won a title a few years ago, it seemed like everybody kind of realized that, this is sort of a flash in the pan, and while we can still be good, probably not reasonable to expect us to win the title again anytime soon. And it seems like with Brendan Rodgers, they've kind of gotten a little bit of that attitude back of saying, hey, we belong not just, in the top half of the league, but maybe we can push and make a run into that top 6. And also they've held on to a lot of their young talent. They've brought in a lot of good players. Yuri Tielemans, keeping him was huge in this offseason, but he was an instant impact when he came in the winter transfer market. Yes, they lost Riyad Mahrez at the start of the season to Manchester City, but they were able to deal with that very well for most of the season. This is a very young team. Seems like it's a very hungry team. As much as we like to joke about Brendan Rodgers, he's one of the top managers in the Premier League. Yeah. And this is a very, very dangerous team. Overall, though, for their previous season, I am going to give them, I'm going to give them a B for finishing in ninth place, even if it was just on goal differential. No, they did make it to the quarterfinals of the League Cup, where they lost to Manchester City on penalties. Had a chance to actually beat City and advance to the semifinals there. So I'm going to give this team a B, and just like West Ham, maybe even more, this is a threatening team potentially going forward.
I can't go that high. I'm going to go my B- on the season, just because personnel-wise, they were better. Yes, they did have to make a change mid-season. Something else we don't really talk or remember too much. Early season, they had the death of their owner.
Yes. That
they had to deal with. And that obviously wasn't an easy thing to do either. A very well-liked man. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. It was Vishai.
Yes.
But I'm not even trying to say that last name. But, that was some stuff they have to deal with. Brendan Rodgers coming in. Brendan is going to change some of the things they do. And that was always going to take some time. I thought they did well to end up at ninth. Mm-hmm. There are some definite pieces at Leicester. I mean, you take the quick look. James Maddison really burst onto the scene this year since coming over from Norwich. He's 22. He's basically an England player now. He's on the radar of the big clubs in England. Don't know how long he's going to be at Leicester, but another kind of lower league gem that they unearthed. Even though I think a lot of people knew about James Madison, but Leicester is a good finishing school for him before he moves on to bigger, better things.
Another question to kind of go on that, we've seen, not to get too much into the current transfer market, but we've seen a lot swirling about Harry Maguire.
Right.
I don't know if he's actually going to go to United, and there's this question of, is Leicester, do they have to be a selling club anymore? Can they actually be a club that doesn't have to be like a Southampton from a few years ago, where they make that big push, but then other teams can come in and poach their big young talent? Can Leicester start to hold on to some of this young talent?
Well, now here's the thing. Financially, a lot of these mid teams, because of the money that's come in, they no longer have to be sellers just based on, we got to make the budget. Obviously, Newcastle does for whatever reason, but I mean, somebody like a Leicester and Everton, we'll talk about, West Ham that we just talked about, Wolves, who we'll talk about. Those guys, they don't have to sell anymore just based on, we can't afford to keep them. No, what it's going to come down to now, and this is what we're going to see with whatever happens with Harry Maguire and maybe James Madison in the future, is it's going to come down to the player having to force their way out. If Harry Maguire says, look, I want out, I don't want to be here, you need to sell me, then I think we're going to see Harry Maguire sold. But, also what you're going to see is these teams can put these huge numbers on them and then stick with them. Because, once again, they don't have to sell. Leicester doesn't need Harry Maguire money. I mean, it'd be cool to get $80 million, don't get me wrong. And there's a few guys out there who they'd turn right around and go get to replace Harry Maguire. I mean, don't forget, 2 years ago, Harry Maguire was playing for Hull and getting relegated, and nobody really knew who Harry Maguire was. So just think about Hull. How shitty were Hull that they had fucking Harry Maguire and Andy Robertson on their back line and still got relegated?
That team.
God, how bad were they?
They couldn't score.
So, that's where Leicester is. Leicester don't have to sell, but you don't want to keep a visibly unhappy Harry Maguire around either.
Sure.
So if you can get $80 million, it might be worth taking the risk on it. But I think Harry Maguire is going to have to hand in a transfer request and kind of force his way out of town to go. So, but anyway, back on Leicester.
Sure.
I think with a young team, with investing in youth, you've got a good manager. Rodgers is very well known for developing players, for bringing out the best in young players. I mean, for as much shit as we give Brendan and Raheem Sterling, I mean, don't forget, Brendan Rodgers basically made Raheem Sterling at Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, gave him chances, put him in good places, and, helped him end up where he is now. You look at some of those young players who really improved at Liverpool, Jordan Henderson. I don't know if you know, but he lifted the cup for the 6th time that Liverpool became European champions this past season. I don't know if I mentioned that recently or not. That's right. How many more weeks of that? Oh, all of them. Never mind.
You get to the start of the next Champions League season.
Are you kidding me? I get until they're either dethroned.
Okay.
Maybe I'll drop it down to once a month. But Jordan Henderson came good under Rodgers. Trent Alexander-Arnold had some good build up in the youth ranks under Brendan Rodgers. So I mean, there were guys that Rodgers did a good job with, and I think Leicester is a good club for Rodgers. Based on he'll be able to work with those guys.
All right. Well, then let's move on to our. We have 2 teams left. One we'll go through pretty quickly because it's Everton. They finished in 8th place, 54 points on the season, 3 out of a Europa League spot. Everton had a pretty good beginning of the season, had a good end of the season. Their last 11 matches, they only lost 2 of them. So a good way to end the season there. But between December 2nd And February 9th, in a span of 15 matches, they won 3 times. And that included a 6-2 loss 2 days before Christmas at home to Tottenham. No runs in the Cups. They finish 8th, but I think we expected more from this team. And the fact that, and look, Wolves are very good. We'll get to Wolves in just a second. The fact that a team came straight up from the championship and beat you out for a top 7 spot with the money you spent and have been spending the last couple years kind of sucks. So I'm going to give you a C+, because I think Everton should be expecting better at this point. And to get pipped by Wolves, again, no disrespect to Wolves, you guys are great, but a team coming straight up from the championship, for them to pass you guys like that, that's rough. I'm giving you a C+ and no better.
Yeah, Everton. I mean, find something to fuck up. This year it was pretty much every road match that you played. And Everton, to their credit, they did win an Everton Cup this year. You know, they drew Liverpool at Goodison, which they can say, you know, kept Liverpool from winning the title, which for Everton is just as good as winning anything themselves.
That's true.
So congratulations, Blues. It was one of the best seasons of the last 24 years. Still haven't won a trophy since 1995. You know, Marco Silva. Here's the thing with Everton. Everton played some good football at times this season. I mean, they didn't finish 8th above these other teams for nothing. I mean, they were better than kind of the rest of the field. They played some good football at times, but they were just absolutely abysmal on the road.
Yeah.
And that's what really kept them from maybe pushing for that Europa spot, was just they sucked on the road. Yeah. You know, they made a few moves here in the offseason again. Anything they can do to keep Theo Walcott off a football field wearing their jersey would be a really good thing. Gylfi Sigurdsson, I think, kind of bounced back this past season and improved his stock. But Everton are just, I mean, they're kind of out there right now. They're kind of in no man's land where they're not quite good enough to be a European team. And that's just all you kind of leave it at. They're not. So, and for Everton, I think Europa right now has got to get themselves into a position where they can, you know, start to keep doing things, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Final team we'll be looking at this week, and we'll take a little bit of a dive into them. Wolves. Wow. 57 points. Do finish 9 points adrift from 6, so weren't very close. But hey, they are going into the Europa League second qualifying round, which starts... Has it started? Wait a minute. Let me...
Yes, they played. They played today, I believe.
I'm trying...
Or they played yesterday.
I'm trying to fiund a result then here, and I'm not...
They won. They played Crusaders from Northern Ireland.
Wolverhampton. Okay, yes, they play Crusaders tomorrow or Thursday, today, whatever you want to look at this. So yes, they'll be playing tomorrow and then next week on August 1st to see if they can advance to the third qualifying round and then the playoff round, and then they can make the main group stage. So tough road there, but this is a Wolves team, again, first year in the Premier League after being promoted. They spent just 9 of the 38 weeks outside of the top 10. This is a team that their worst patch of the year was the end of October to the end of November, when they went no wins, 1 draw, 5 losses, with weird losses like at home to Huddersfield and at Brighton and Hove. Other than that, this team was remarkably consistent, had some very good wins, beat Manchester United at home, beat Arsenal at home, beat Watford on the road, drew United at United, drew Arsenal at Arsenal, beat Chelsea at home, beat Tottenham in Tottenham, or it wasn't the new Tottenham Stadium. But anyway, very, very good results on the season. They made to the semifinals of the FA Cup, where they should have probably beaten Watford, if not for a very, very late penalty. This was a very good team. I'm vacillating between an A+ and an A, just because I feel like if they had finished off that FA Cup semifinal and they got to the final, no matter what happens against City, I'm giving them an A+. I'm giving them an A. I'm sorry, I'm giving them an A. Fantastic season, though. Nuno Espirito Santo did a fantastic job with this team. They spent money in the summer leading up to it, and that all pretty much worked out for them very well. This is like the reverse Fulham. They did great, and I hope they keep it up in this next season, because this was a very fun story to watch. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with an A. Great season for Wolves.
Must dampen you just a wee bit, just the weeest of bits. I'm going to give them an A-.
Okay.
And here's my reasoning for it.
Sure.
Consistency is the biggest thing in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And now Wolves, I mean, they were consistent enough to finish 7th. So don't get me wrong. It is the best finish ever for a promoted team in the Premier League. That's awesome. That gets you into that A level. Wins against Chelsea, United, Arsenal, and Spurs. What hurt them at the end of the day was, as you said, the Huddersfields of the world. Mm-hmm. The lower ranked teams in the league, the lower place teams. And that's where I got to deduct a little bit from them is, you put yourself in such a good position by beating the Chelsea's, United's, Arsenal, Spurs. Mm-hmm. And then you just, you let it slip away some with those losses against the lower table teams. Okay. So that's just that little bit of inconsistency. In the League Cup, FA Cup. I mean, they knocked Liverpool out of the FA Cup. Mm-hmm. I'll give them that. As you said, made that run to the semifinal. I think a lot of people thought they were going to get to the final. Yeah. So a little disappointing there. Raul Jimenez had a magnificent season. João Moutinho, Diego Jota, Ruben Neves, Rui Patricio. But Jimenez, was a lone player, scored 13 goals, 7 assists. They have signed him permanently now.
Good call.
The Mexican international. We'll obviously preview Wolves coming up when we do our preview time. Mm-hmm. But, as we saw with Burnley last year, we always jokingly call the Europa Cup, Europa League, the poison chalice. I don't know how much it hurt Burnley last year, but Wolves, if they end up in Europa proper, I mean, that's all. It's tough on everybody who does.
Absolutely.
That's talking about Chelsea's and Arsenal's of the world last year. It was tough on them. Could Wolves maybe drop a spot or two in the Premier League this year while they're chasing Europa glory? Because I think they're going to get into the regular. I think they're going to get into it proper. Okay. And it could end up being some detriment. But for this past season, A-. I mean, could not have asked them to do any better. I mean, they finished 7th in a 6-team league. Yeah. I mean, there was literally, nothing you could have expected them to do better. So
certainly, and just to your point about some weird losses to the bottom of the table, Huddersfield did the double on them. You just kind of you look at their schedule and all the matches they won and all the great results they had, and then you see Huddersfield did the fucking double on it. It's so weird. And if they win both those matches, they finish 3 points behind Arsenal.
Exactly. So, So I mean, they could have had themselves in even. Yeah. But like I said, man, take nothing away from them. Absolutely. That was. And, we, to our credit, I think we picked them to be good this year. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people picked them to be good this year. Mm-hmm. But for them to come in and live up to it, that was big time. That was really good.
Again, the anti-Fulham. So, so there you go. Next week, we'll be doing the top 6. Some of your favorite hits, like, Manchester United and Arsenal. Those will be fun. Those will be a lot of fun. We're going to get a lot of the spite out early, and then we're going to start. And then, so this is what we'll have. I like that it's grouped like this. Arsenal and United, we're going to have a lot of shade being thrown and a lot of fun laughs at them.
A lot of giggles.
Then we're going to have Chelsea and Tottenham, and there's going to be a lot of shrugging and confused looks.
And kind of, we're gonna do our best.
And then, and then we have Liverpool and City, who are both just utterly dominant. So
rah. Exactly. And then I might shed a tear because somehow we didn't win the damn league.
97.
But just in case anyone forgot, for the 6th time, we did win the European title. So
good.
Anyway, go ahead.
We didn't
Next.
forget. All right. Let's hit the news and notes now. So first things first, the Premier League has come out with their new updated, this definitely won't be confusing, guys, handball rules for the upcoming season. So here we're going to read this straight from the Premier League website because it's not too long here. So for handballs, any goal scored or created with the use of a hand or arm will be disallowed this season, even if it is accidental. Intent is gone. It doesn't matter anymore. If it touches, it's done. The handball rule now has extra clarity because it does not consider intent by a player. Another big change is to do with the position of a player's hand or arm. If the ball hits a player who has made their body unnaturally bigger, in air quotes, then a foul will be awarded. So becomes the ambiguousness. The IFAB, which I should probably know what that stands for, and I just don't, says that having the hand or arm above shoulder height is rarely a natural position, and a player is taking a risk by having the hand or arm in that position, including when sliding. It is, however, considered natural for a player to put their arm between their body and the ground for support when falling, so long as the arm is not extended to make the body bigger. And then for deflections, this one is pretty quick. Premier League players will be allowed extra leeway when it comes to ricocheted handballs. It is often impossible to avoid contact with the ball if it is deflected off the body of an opponent, teammate, or even another part of the own player. So a handball will not be awarded if the ball touches a player's hand or arm directly from their own head, body, or foot, or the head, body, foot of another player who is close nearby. So there you go. If you kick it, if somebody heads it into your arm, as long as your arm is not in an unnatural position, not a handball. But again, the biggest takeaway for handballs, intent no longer matters. If it touches you, it is a handball. So I think, we joke a little bit. I think that's a good change. I'm excited to see who the first team will be that gets screwed because of this. But I think, as we saw with VAR and all that, because, hey, VAR's coming, boys. I think anything that starts to take away ambiguity from these judgment calls should be a win. I hope it's a win, Wes.
Whatever.
All right.
I don't... See, here's the thing. We have all these great... Just a rule change. That's a very good way to put it. And now Premier League referees get to enforce it.
Yeah.
Which means Liverpool's going to get dick somewhere.
Mike Dean, y'all. Mike Dean.
Mike Dean. Exactly. I mean, shit's going to happen. Nobody's going to be happy in the Premier League. So it either goes your way or it doesn't. And now you add VAR into the mix. Holy shit, this is going to be insane.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay with these changes. Even as someone who is a big proponent of video replay, I am scared to death about VAR being introduced to the Premier League.
And one of my favorite TV shows that would come on Saturdays when I was growing up as a kid was called This Week in Baseball.
Oh, I love Twib. It was amazing.
Twib was amazing.
Oh, it's great.
I think we may have to add a segment as our Premier League season starts to the pod here called This Week in VAR. Because something is going to go fucking wrong every week. We just know this is going to happen. Shit is going to blow up. It is going to blow up. So,
I think you're right.
Yeah, if we could get Joe Garagiola out of retirement to come to This Week in VAR,
Wonderful.
it'd be amazing.
Oh
God! Speaking of that, I really wish This Week in Baseball was still around. That show was amazing. I learned more 80s baseball shit from that show than anything ever.
This Week in Baseball, is it still around? Like in some? It was discontinued at the end of the 2011 season. Damn. Well,
so good.
There you go.
You're lost in baseball.
Damn straight. Some more news and notes now. This is some transfer news. I believe this one is official. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I believe this one is official. David De Gea has signed a new contract extension with Manchester United to the tune of 6 years, 117 million pounds. I believe that is official. The article...
Yeah, we're going to go with it.
Okay. This has obviously been a big on again, off again for the last couple seasons. Of course, famously enough, he almost went to Real Madrid, and then Ed Woodward forgot how to use a fax machine, so it never actually
maybe on purpose.
Yeah. This is a big deal. His current contract was going to run out at the end of this coming season, so they have locked him up. He had a bit of a down year last year for him. Still good, but just down year in terms of what he has produced for United in the past and other places. But I think this is they had to do this. I think he's been the team's player of the year like 3 years in a row. This is a very important signing for United and a very important piece of their puzzle moving forward, because, hey, as we've seen, as bad as that back line can be, as long as you have De Gea back there, you still have a chance. So to have to find another guy going forward would have been very tough for United, especially, with other teams starting to close the gap on this top six. This could have been huge. So this is, even if the money is a lot, this is a very important move for United to take control of.
Absolutely. This was a move they had to. And I'm going to tell you the truth, man. Right now, why the hell has Solskjaer not already announced him as your captain?
I don't know.
I mean, this is a guy who, he is, it's actually 4 times. He did win it 3 straight and then another year. 4 times he's been your club player of the year. Mm-hmm. Don't give me this, well, he tried to leave for Madrid. Jesus Christ, Pogba tries to leave a week. Who the hell else? Valencia's gone. He needs to be the captain of Manchester United. Signing this contract, I think, shows he's going to be there for a good amount of time going forward. He should be your captain, and he is still, to me, the best player at Manchester United. I think he is, up until last year, to me, he was the guy who I think keeper against. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I think this past season, I think Ederson and Alisson were better. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that De Gea can't be back at that level.
He's only 28.
I expect him to be back at that level. He had a really tough season starting at the World Cup. Mm-hmm. And then there was so much turmoil, as we've talked about, and we'll talk about, at Manchester United. That's a teaser for next week, folks. For him, I think you're going to see more of the real David De Gea this season.
All right. Well, I'm sure United fans will be wanting that. I'm sure. No. Well, I was going to do a segue like this, but I don't think this might actually be very true. I was going to say maybe some United fans hope they also see Gareth Bale at Old Trafford next season. I don't think that's actually true, though. So I'm not going to make that the segue.
Gareth Bale wants to play Champions League football.
Hey. Not wrong. This is just a bizarre story. The whole Gareth Bale saga has been very weird. And a lot. There was a good thread, and I'm sorry, I forgot who had it on Twitter. But a person who wrote a lot about the real sort of friction of Gareth Bale at Real Madrid. Not so much of him not being able to speak Spanish, but just not really being a strong presence in the locker room. No. But this Zinedine Zidane thing is just really bizarre. he was asked after one of the International Champions Cup matches. Notice how we didn't talk anything about that in the match talk. He mentioned after in the post-game press conference, somebody asked about Bale and his possible departure from the club. He said, quote, "We hope he leaves soon. It would be best for everyone. We are working on his transfer to a new team." He does say, "I have nothing personal against him, but there comes a time where things are done because they must be done." Which that part doesn't sound so bad, but to lead off with, "We hope he leaves soon. It would be best for everyone." It's just such a strong statement of intent from Zidane, and to be so blunt about it, I guess that's part of who Zidane is. You know, they made a song about him, as I found out from you a couple weeks ago. It's just very interesting that someone who a couple years ago was seen as the heir apparent to Ronaldo at Real Madrid has had this situation turned so frosty. But Wes, I gotta admit, I don't really know where Gareth Bale can go, which makes this whole situation much weirder.
Well, I mean, Ed, here's the thing. I mean, Gareth Bale, God, is he still an elite player? All I know is at the end of the day,
I think. Okay. Yeah, you played less than 10 seconds, so it's fine.
Right, that was 7 seconds. No, for real. I mean,
I will answer your question like this.
He still got it. Go ahead.
I will answer your question like this. When he is healthy, I believe he is elite. He has just not been very healthy these past couple of years because we've seen him. We saw in the Champions League final against Liverpool a couple years ago. When he's healthy, he is still one of the best players on the planet. He just has been so beset by injuries. And, of course, that's part of what some of the frostiness came through when he wasn't immediately put back into the lineup for Real Madrid when he did come back from injuries. That's part of where some of the friction came from. But that's been his big issue. I don't think there's any question about the ability still being there for Bale. He is still, I think, a world-class talent. But I don't think he just hasn't been healthy. Go ahead.
So here's my question. Sure. So he's playing in the league right now that's kind of considered the least, out of the major leagues in Europe, it's the least physical. It's the most skillful one is the Spanish league.
That's super fair.
If he can't stay healthy in Spain, I mean, what the hell's going to happen to him on a Premier League field?
Yeah, you're right.
What's going to, one place that's been mooted has been PSG, but, France, we call it, people mockingly call it the Farmers League. France is a step down overall, but damn, they get physical in France. Yeah. That's one of Neymar's issues in France is people kick the shit out of him. Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing with Bale. Yeah, when he's healthy and when he's motivated, yeah, he's still a superstar. But, I mean, he's turned 30. Which that's the magic age, as we know, for everyone. 30 is, 30 is the new minefield, I guess you say. It's a minefield age. Mm-hmm. The money's huge. That's one thing. Oh, and that kind of takes me into my next point is, what does Gareth Bale want? I'm reminded of that wonderful Nicholas Sparks movie, The Notebook. I'm reminded of that moment when Noah looks at Allie and says, "What do you want?" And she says, as all women would say, "It's not that simple." What do you want? It's not that simple. What do you want? Does Gareth Bale want to play? Or does Gareth Bale just want to get paid off this massive contract that he has? Because nowhere else he goes other than China.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
He's going to give him that money. So, is it all about the money, Gareth? Are you willing to take the next 4 years of your career, sit on the sideline and collect your money and let that be your legacy? Or take less money and go somewhere and try to reestablish yourself as one of the elite players in the game? What do you want, Gareth Bale? To me, I don't think China's really an option for him because, I mean, yeah, he could get the money over there, but, I mean, that would literally be saying, okay, my career is over.
Yeah.
I'm literally just going here for the money, and I have zero ambition. Mm-hmm. I don't know how a guy like Gareth Bale could not have ambition to do something.
Well,
and in the past he could say, "Well, you stay and fight for my spot." I don't think there is staying and fighting for your spot at Madrid. Mm-hmm. I think Zidane is done. He's just like, I'm done. I don't want this. I don't want you around. Is it personal? I don't know. Is it professional? I don't know. We don't know all the details. But it is obvious that Zinedine Zidane does not want him there. Now, what he could do, with the way, shit changes at Real Madrid, you know what? He might just sit this year, bide his time, and, if shit goes south for Zidane, who knows? He might not be there. Hmm? And then maybe you try with the next guy. But, every year at this point that Gareth Bale doesn't play, he's getting that much closer to his expectation date. And he is on the wrong side. He is on the wrong side of the age spectrum for a pro athlete. To me, he's coming up on now or never time with what he wants to do with his career. It's been a really great career for him. But that said, I think right now, if Gareth Bale wants, which isn't going to happen because once again he wants his money, I think Gareth Bale will go down as we could have seen a lot more from Gareth Bale. So
here's my thing. I'm looking at this list right now. Gareth Bale has won La Liga. He has won the Copa del Rey. He's won the Champions League 4 times. He's won the Super Cup 3 times. He's won the Club World Cup, for whatever that's worth, 3 times. He's been a FIFA Pro World 11, either second or third team 3 times. Was on the 4th team once and the 5th team once as well. My question is, if it comes down to it, what more is there for him to win? Because again, if a trip back to the Premier League isn't in the cards, and I think outside of La Liga, going to a team and winning the Premier League is one of the biggest team things you can win in sports that he hasn't in soccer that he hasn't won yet, because he's won the Champions League and he's won La Liga. Like I would put the Premier League above winning the Bundesliga or winning Serie A, especially right now with the way those things are going, and outside of winning Leon, unless he does it with some random ass team. Like if he took, I don't know, Fiorentina and won Serie A with them, that'd be amazing. Outside of any craziness like that, it's just win the Premier League. And if no Premier League team really wants him, like Tottenham's not getting Gareth Bale. That's not happening.
Nobody can pay the guy. Nobody's.
And United doesn't want to pay him.
United would love to have him, but United. Nobody wants to pay him.
So,
I will tell you.
Go
ahead. At Liverpool, be that all to back up to be a front 3 option with our guys. Bale can play on any side. He can play left. He can play right. He can play in the middle. I'll take Gareth Bale Liverpool immediately. We're not going to pay Gareth Bale that money though.
No,
not for anything in the world. Not when he's going to walk in and make more money than on our team. Hell no. That's crazy. He's past his prime. Now, the thing is also, there's a chance that wherever he does go, Manchester United, why am I saying that? Real Madrid will most likely be willing to pick up part of that salary package.
Sure.
Just to see him out the door. So there is that to think about, but it's still going to be a lot of money.
I gotta wonder, when you talk about saying if he goes to China, is he effectively saying his career is over? That's what I'm thinking. Like, what more does he have to win in club football outside of what he already has, apart from a Premier League title? Like, and if he can't win the Premier League title, then is it win La Liga without Ronaldo? Like that seems like the only other option.
Well, my when I say something left to prove, to me it is this whole, you were one of the absolute best in the world. The injuries have kind of sapped you here at the end. do you still consider yourself? Because he's a professional footballer.
Sure.
Cocky. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean cocky in the bad way.
Yeah.
I'll say more. He's extremely confident in his abilities.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never sit there and say that he believes right now he can play on the field.
For sure.
To me, going to China just admits I'm not up to it. I'm not up to the task.
Mm-hmm.
Me going gives him put himself back into that light of being one of the best in the world.
Okay.
And that's more what I mean by it's over. He goes to China. Because it's over. As far as that, China's the wasteland. You literally go to, and here's my other thing with that. You say always won everything. Well, how much more money does Gareth Bale truly need?
That's true. That's fair.
Where instead of making 400 grand a week, you might only make 300 grand a week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that extra 100 grand a week for Gareth Bale at this point of his career? Is that really life altering, life changing money?
Sure.
No, he's already got generational money.
Mm-hmm.
This is taking care of your great grandchildren, I guess. At that point, get a fucking job, kids.
Yes.
So, that's my thing is, you go for your legacy. If he goes to China, he's going to be remembered for a legacy there, and then he gave up on it.
Yeah. All right. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see where he ends up because, again, I don't think it's going to be a Premier League team, and it's hard to imagine him at any of the other big clubs in Europe aside from, as you mentioned, PSG. So we'll see what happens. I can't imagine Zidane really wants him to stay around. So we'll see. A guy that will be sticking around with his team at Chelsea, and this is, I think, a massive signing or re-signing, I guess is the case may be. Callum Hudson-Odoi will be not heading to Bayern Munich. He will instead be staying at Chelsea with a reported 5-year contract that will bump his wages up to £100,000 a week. This coming from the BBC Sport. He was a breakout player at Chelsea, got super hard linked to Bayern Munich throughout the thing. And in fact, it seemed like he was gone at some points during the last transfer window. But he does look like he is going to be staying at Chelsea. This is a very young player. And again, for, at only 18 years old and for a Chelsea club, that still looks like they're going to be having that transfer ban applied to them for the next couple of windows. This is massive to keep a player like this on your roster. So this is, I think, we've joked a lot about some bad deals these last couple of weeks. I think this is a fantastic deal for Chelsea and something that they absolutely had to do.
Absolutely. And when you look at it, now this is an injured player at the moment, but when he comes back, you expect he'll come back okay and ready to go. Mm-hmm. There has been a trend in English football lately of these young players. Jadon Sancho really, of course, is the poster boy for it, of these young players who are leaving, going somewhere else. And, if you're Chelsea or at that point Manchester City or really anyone else, you've developed these players, you've done all the work, and you're losing them for pennies on the dollar, which is kind of ironic because that's what they usually try to do to other teams. But, at the same time, for Chelsea, who they've seen the purse strings tightened over the past few years under Abramovich, you've got the ban in place. Odoi is a player who, pay him, that's fine, because that's still a hell of a lot cheaper than having to go out and replace that kind of a talent when you're able to. Mm-hmm. You're looking at a guy like that. Let's say Hudson-Odoi becomes the player that Chelsea are hoping. You're looking at a £100 million talent.
Oh, yeah.
And you top off that it's English. And that's obviously big for English teams that have those English players. You look at Jadon Sancho, God, Dortmund won £100 million for Jadon Sancho. Well, that's $100 million that, Chelsea don't have to pay for that player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good bit of business. This was actually mentioned earlier in the podcast, but Newcastle have made their club record signing, so yay for them. Jolinton, who is coming from Hoffenheim, and definitely not one of the Eevee evolutions from Pokemon. He's coming over at 22 years old. A very good striker coming over from Hoffenheim. Also played earlier back in Brazil at Sport Recife, where he made his first team debut at the age of 16. This is from the Newcastle press release. And then he joined Hoffenheim back in June of 2015, played at Rapid Wien for a couple years, where he had some good seasons, and then came back to Hoffenheim. And of course, now the smiling picture with good old Steve Bruce says it all. But hey, it seems like a good player. And in this day and age, you gotta pay. So hey, at least Mike Ashley's willing to pay some players, I guess. But, you know, this would have been maybe a nice get a month ago to convince one Rafa Benitez to stay around. But they do get their man in the end, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say, I think they've overspent on this player.
Well, don't Newcastle kind of have to overspend?
Yeah, but, you know, with Rondon and Perez already there, turn around and spend that money on this. It just seems like he kind of had that already. But I'll give it to him. You know, he's a young Brazilian. Mm-hmm. He did have a nice season at Hoffenheim. I'm hoping that they're kind of banking on his continued improvement into the future, which would, you know, then maybe turn into something. But at the same time, I mean, we kind of know at this point that when Newcastle are signing, they're looking at resale.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, if this guy does blow up, picked him to nothing in Newcastle, I guess. But didn't end up at United or something.
Turn 50 into 100 million. That's the Mike Ashley Ed Woodward way.
And our 100 million into 50.
Our final little news and note here is best summed up in a nice little joke I saw on Reddit earlier today. Tottenham have sold Vincent Janssen to CF Monterrey, the Mexican club. You know, this is not a great ending to Janssen's somewhat difficult tenure at Tottenham. But as was summed up on Reddit today, there was a thread about someone exposing one of those supposed in-the-know Twitter accounts by telling them a fake player from France and having them that oh yeah, we're gonna sign this guy, you know, spread the word, and this guy spreads the word, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't actually exist. And so somebody made the comment about something like, you know, I can't believe somebody would fall for a fake signing like this. And someone replied, well, I mean, that's kind of what we did with Monterey earlier today. Boom. Got him on the way out the door. So, goodbye, Vincent Janssen. It's been a thing that happened. So
you were here.
Yeah, you got a T-shirt. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it. You know, at least with Llorente, even though he didn't last very long, he had some really big moments, especially in the Champions League and coming in as a substitute. So it was a little sad to see him leave. Janssen's like, whatever. Fucking nobody really cares.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
So
whatever.
That's news and notes.
Oh, hope he gets a.
Maybe he can win the Champions League, the CONCACAF Champions League. So we end on a low note, but we throw it back up for a high as we hit the watch for. Normally, I would say, Wes, what have you been watching the week that was, the week that will be? And I'm sure you're going to talk about the movies you've seen this past week. But we also got to talk some Marvel. So you talk about the movies you've seen, and then we'll go into the news from Comic-Con.
Well, first movie I saw, the Lion King. Live action Lion King. I'll give it some. It was pretty good. I mean, it's basically the Lion King from our childhood. I did quite enjoy Billy Eichner as Timon. Really, Timon had like difference from the original, and basically all they did, they just kind of updated their banter a little bit, which was fun.
I heard there's a joke where in one of the songs in the original, Timon hushes Pumbaa before he sings the word fart. Yeah. And in this version, he says it, and Pumbaa's like confused that Timon lets him say it.
He's like, "Why didn't you stop me?"
I think that's a good bit. I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, there was some cute. It was cute at that point. I mean, the rest of it, it was basically like, with a Disney story behind it. Well, I mean, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I mean, I liked it. Fine. It's not my favorite Disney, but it's definitely not disliked. So yeah, Billy Eichner definitely gets my thumbs up for that movie. I thought it was. And now today I went and saw a movie that, and when we look at the history of movies, we see Citizen Kane, The Godfather, The Shawshank Redemption, Raging Bull, and I think to that list we must now include Crawl.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it was the most Florida of all movies. Killer alligators. I thought it was cutely ironic that she is a college student and she swims for, of all places, the University of Florida, the Gators.
Of course.
I find it very interesting that the football season begins this year with the University of Florida versus the Miami Hurricanes. That's right. I took that out of this as well. Barry Pepper is so Barry Pepper. He's magnificent. Yeah. Okay. Here's the great deal on Crawl. It was a fun movie. It's got like some of those great moments in it. She does stick her hand into a gator's throat as he bites her arm and pops off like 10 rounds from a Glock, which is great. It was like, yeah, I totally did.
Oh my god.
I mean, you know what? It is a fun little entertaining movie. Summer entertaining movie. My thoughts of it being Citizen Kane of our era, maybe a little.
Interesting.
But I do give it my seal of approval. If I was Fred McGriff, I would say I endorse it.
This movie has produced back-to-back AAU national championships.
Exactly, because those children are terrified of the killer game. So it's like, just stay dry and stay on a baseball field, kid.
Oh, that's good. That's good for practice motivation.
Don't go swimming in Florida.
Oh man! All right, so let's talk about Marvel just pretty much winning Comic-Con this past week.
Jeez, us talk about Marvel? Really?
What?
As Billy Eichner would say, really? Us talk about Marvel? Okay, let's do it.
I'm gonna need to go have a nap for 45 minutes. No, an hour, a full hour.
Hour and a half. Fine, an hour. You're beautiful, kiddo.
God, I love Billy Eichner on Parks and Rec. He's great. All right, let's do this. Let's just go through the schedule of what got announced and for officially. So next May, 2020. Black Widow, the prequel story. It's coming. We're going to finally learn what...
The day before my birthday. Thank you, Marvel.
There you go. We're going to learn what happened in Budapest. Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming to Disney+. Fall 2020. It's going to be fucking...
Sebastian Stan. You're my favorite.
The Eternals. Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, and Kumail... I forget your last name, how to pronounce it. You're going to be in it.
I don't know anything about that, but I'll watch it because it's more...
It's going to be bonkers. November 6th. 2021, February. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. An actual real Mandarin villain this time. It's going to be great.
It'll be Black Panther.
WandaVision. Coming to Disney+. Spring 2021. It's Wanda Maximoff and Vision, which takes place after Avengers, even though Vision died in Endgame, or in Infinity War. We'll see how that works out.
Spoiler alert!
Speaking of Wanda, she's going to be in the next movie, May 7th, 2021. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Nightmare's going to be the bad guy. It's going to be a horror movie, apparently. I can't fucking wait for more Cumbersnatch. Coming to Disney Plus, also in spring 2021. Loki. It's the Loki from the end of Infinity War. Not the one that's already had the change of heart from Ragnarok. Can't wait to see what kind of hijinks he gets into.
Or you mean from Endgame?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that one. Yes, the one that pieces out with the Tesseract from Endgame. That's the Loki we're following. Coming in summer to Disney Plus, summer 2021. What if ? Where Jeffrey Wright plays a guy with a really large head and narrates an animated series with most of the normal Avengers cast returning to lend their voices to this, to see what would happen if certain things had gone differently in the MCU. I think that's fascinating. The comics were great. Can't wait to see how they do this on screen. Fall 2021, more Jeremy Renner to Disney Plus. Hawkeye. Kate Bishop's also getting introduced to that. No word on who's playing Kate Bishop yet. And then finally, the last announced thing with an actual date attached to it, Thor, Love and Thunder, November 5th, 2021. Taika Waititi is back directing after his great turn in Ragnarok. Chris Hemsworth is back. The woman who plays Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson, she's going to be back because she's the new king of Asgard and she needs her queen, which means she's LGBTQ. She's the first official Marvel hero that's that. And finally, fucking Jane Foster's back and she's going to be Thor too. So, she might have cancer.
I'm not going to lie, though. If I can see Tessa Thompson and... Damn it.
Natalie Portman?
If I can see them make out, I'm down.
Well, hey, she needs her queen. That's what she said. So, we will... And that would be a very... To take away from the titillation factor of it, that'd be a very interesting love triangle if that happened. Between Chris Hemsworth and the two of them. So that's
biggest question: will it be skinny Thor?
I hope not at first. I hope he starts as fat Thor, as Lebowski Thor, and then regains his slimness over the time. All right, so let's just talk about a few of these. Black Widow's coming back after dying at the end of Endgame. Oh, spoilers for Endgame, by the way. After dying in the middle of Endgame, it is again a prequel. We're getting Taskmaster in this, and I think Taskmaster is a very cool villain. So hopefully they portray him well. We'll see, but I'm pretty excited about more Black Widow, and it's going to be the second. I was about to say second female hero-led Marvel movie. So that's pretty cool as well. But
apparently it's supposed to take place like after Ultron, or no, after Civil War.
Ooh, I didn't know that. I thought this was going to be like...
Well, I believe what I've kind of heard is expect like a lot of flashback stuff.
Okay.
Like telling the story, but I think it's supposed to like take place... It's supposed to start taking place like after she prevented Black Panther from getting Cap and Winter Soldier.
Oh, interesting.
Which is going to kind of show like, what happened to her, because I've been on the point, so...
Yeah,
we saw her and Tony talk, and then she left the compound, and things happen.
One thing
we saw her was in Infinity War. So
one thing I'm going to be interested. Somebody mentioned this because they have mentioned in the footage that was shown at Comic-Con, they do show footage from the Budapest mission that keeps getting brought up.
She got some red in her ledger.
But Hawkeye also mentions it, and Jeremy Renner hasn't been confirmed to be in this movie, so. Right. Mr. Jeremy Renner, I hope you're in this movie because it wouldn't make sense otherwise to have this part of the MCU lore and not have you in it. So anyway, I'm excited though. And then now we'll jump past Eternals and go to the one I know you're super excited for. And that's the TV series Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm very excited for this. I love Anthony Mackie and Sebastian
Stan.
Stan.
Aroused.
Hey.
Excuse me.
Baron Zemo's back.
Oh, Jesus God.
He made the man who played him, Daniel Bruhl, in Civil War, he made a brief appearance at Comic-Con, said, I can't imagine what you all must be thinking. Villain seizes control of the panel and you expect me to threaten some unspeakable act of violence, and was basically like, hey, I'll see you guys later. So I think that's pretty fun. But I know, Wes, you're looking a big forward to that.
Oh, yeah, Winter Soldier is one of the storylines out of the entire. And with Falcon getting Captain America's shield and basically becoming the new Captain America, we guess.
Yeah.
I guess that'll be the explanation of that storyline, where that's going. So a lot to still happen. And the thing is, so that's phase 4. That still means, God, phase 5 is still going to kick more ass. Apparently, we're not going to get another Avengers until phase 5. And, of course, it's going to be a whole new kind of crop of Avengers. Apparently, we're going to get a Spider-Man in phase 5. New Guardians should come out in phase 5.
We're also getting Fantastic Four coming out.
That's right. Which, let's hope someone can finally make a good Fantastic Four movie.
Hey, Marvel's landed this more often than not. They did it with Spider-Man when they brought it over. Right. I mean, the whole Iron Man thing to kick it off. Like They
eventually got Hulk right.
Yes, they did. They didn't do it in their own movie, but they did as soon as Mark Ruffalo took over. That they started getting it good. So I'm very excited about a lot of the stuff that I already talked about. I'm
just have another Black Panther movie coming down the line.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's Captain Marvel. There's a Captain Marvel also coming out. There's some talk about X-Men that they may start to get introduced a little bit. That'll be interesting to see how they introduce mutants. If has Charles Xavier just been hiding them from everybody's radars for the last 20 years or whatever? And that's why we haven't. I'm so excited for Thor. I'm so excited.
For Thor. I don't know. I'm a little guarded on Thor, just because I just the little bit that we're getting. I don't know where we're going with this. And of course, I'm not a comic book guy.
So
I'm not a comic book guy, but this whole wait a minute now, Thor is my Thor. Oh, Thor, where is my Thor? And now you're saying, oh, Jane Foster is going to be Thor. What the fuck does that mean?
So when Jane Foster in the comics became Thor...
Basically, I just need Chris Hemsworth in my every playing this character, okay? He needs to continue.
So she became the Mighty Thor. She took up the mantle when Thor went through a period where he did not feel worthy enough to use the hammer. I believe I'm getting that right. But part of that is that Jane Foster was actually dying of cancer. And the interesting part of it is that when she wielded Mjolnir and was fighting as the Mighty Thor, it was preventing the chemotherapy from working. So as she fought, she was also actively killing herself. And there's this dynamic of how much are you willing to sacrifice to take up this mantle as Thor and be this force and this this superhero. And I think that that's very interesting, especially from where we left Thor, who has sort of, I don't want to say abdicated because I think that's a negative connotation, but he has left the throne. He's let Valkyrie become the leader of New Asgard.
He's kind of turned down the throne.
Yeah, yes, that's a better way of putting it. So is that part of that I think is going to be, is Thor still worthy? Is he the one that will be wielding Mjolnir? So I think, I think
because I could have understood that if it had still been sad Thor that we saw before the final battle Endgame, then I could totally understand. But it seemed like he had kind of gotten his mojo. So where does it kind of come in where he sad Thor again?
Well, it may not be that he's sad Thor. It may just be that he doesn't want to be a hero anymore. He may just want to be doing fun, goofy space adventures with Team Rocket.
With Tree and Rabbit.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll see about that. But I still think, as big as that was to see Natalie Portman coming back,
that is interesting considering how much it seemed like she didn't want anything else to do.
So I think what happened, and I talked with some people online about this, I think there is a difference between what happened with her and what happened with someone like Hugo Weaving. I think Hugo Weaving just didn't want fuck all to do with this anymore, which is funny for a guy who also did The Matrix and was a friggin' elf in The Lord of the Rings. But I think what happened to her is, I think she wanted to be part of it, but I don't think she was written very well in the first 2 Thor movies. And then they hired they had hired a different director, I think, for The Dark World, who was like, it was a female director, I forget her name, and then they let her go like halfway into it, and she was really kind of taken aback by that. So I think that combination of things led to her being like, yeah, I don't really want to do it anymore. So I have a feeling that if she didn't want to be there, she wouldn't be there. But I'm pretty sure, because Taika Waititi, we trust, I think he probably has something really good for her, and I think that's why she's back. So that's what has me hopeful, is I don't think if this wouldn't be a good story for her, she would actually be back here reprising her role as Jane Foster. So that's why I'm a little excited. But the biggest, I think the absolute mic drop at the end, Mahershala Ali is motherfucking Blade. Vampires are real in the MCU, and this comes off of something we heard before Comic-Con started. Apparently, Marvel's going to do Deadpool movies. They're going to do Deadpool movies, and they're going to keep them rated R, which means we might get some R-rated Blade movies. Let me tell you, Blade 1 is a really, really good movie.
Oh, yeah, the first Blade was great. It's just after that they kind of bastardized.
Yeah, but
I damn want Wesley Snipes in there somewhere.
Hey, as Granddaddy Blade, Grandpapa Blade coming in.
We're doing that with the Shaft franchise right now.
There you go. Why not do with Blade? I think
that's not a good idea. That was more of a backhanded. Very backhanded.
I think this is awesome. I love that Marvel seems to be committed to not just doing like their standard, because this could have been the fear with them being with Disney, is that they wouldn't want to do anything past PG-13. But if they're gonna bring in Deadpool, even if when it's an Avengers movie, Deadpool has to be PG-13, that's okay. But as long as his solo stuff is still rated R, and he gets to be the merc with the mouth, and Blade gets to be rated R, if they're committed to that, I think this is going to be frigging awesome, and I cannot wait to see what they do with Blade. I think Mahershala Ali is great. He was great in Luke Cage. He was probably the best part of Luke Cage on Netflix, so that's great. He's a great actor, and I think this is... I'm so excited for Blade. Oh, I'm so excited.
Can you just imagine the things they can do with Deadpool in the... let him have... Because, he's breaking down that... Oh, yeah. Obviously, he can basically walk into the movie and say, I get to say fuck this time.
Well, I think that, I know in the comics, he and Spider-Man have a lot of great interactions. So to see Tom Holland really and Ryan Reynolds playing off each other, I think would just be fantastic. Jesus.
Oh, help me, Jesus! God, can you just imagine the promotional tour with those two?
Oh, it'd be so great! Oh, I can't wait. So that should be a lot of fun to look forward to from them. So yeah, that's our watch for from our big Marvel talk. So a lot of fun there.
So good.
So now for a brief moment, let's hit So Elite Raw, I guess.
Because let's get to something real.
Yes.
Oh, harsh. Taking a look, biggest thing we're gonna bring up this week is going to be AEW. Announcing their time slot, sort of. They're going to be kicking off on TNT in October. Looks like it's going to be October 2nd. It's going to be from 8 to 10 p.m. That comes 2 days before WWE debuts SmackDown Live on Fox. So that's going to be starting on Friday, October the 4th. So I guess let me take a quick look at my October 2nd schedule. And I'm working nights. So I would say that's, if I can get it on that night somewhere, I'll try to watch some of it and I'll throw it in a recorded the next morning. But it's going to be, first one's going to be in. So we'll see what happens. But AEW ready to make their splash and see if they can save wrestling.
Yes.
I will give some credit to WWE. You know, I think WWE is having to make some adjustments already because they're starting to push a little more TV 14, which was kind of why we loved Raw back in the day. So, you know, get a little more edgy, bring back that old viewership.
We'll see if they do it. So that's your So Elite Raw for the week. Also, just real quick before we end the show, I've been seeing these like Paulo Dybala to Spurs rumors.
Yeah, I saw that one pop up too.
Yeah, okay, sure.
I mean, you know, I've also been seeing Nicholas 2 months now. So with any rumor at this time of the year, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
As they say, believe it at Liverpool.
I just say keep everybody, sign Lo Celso, sign Sessegnon, call it a window.
Whatever works for you.
There you go. And that works for me for episode 272 of the Foreign Affair podcast. Thank you for joining us this week. Big thanks to our presenters, including NGSC Sports, Alicia's Pillows and Things, Cool Eye Cover, and the Ultimate Sports Channel. They are all on the social media as well as us. On Twitter, as a collective, we are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show. You can email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. So I believe we will be back next week live. That is correct?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. And we will, so we'll do the top 6 next week of last year's Premier League. We'll hit any more news and notes from the transfer market that happens and bring you another edition of Watch 4, of course. So that is this podcast done. But before we get out of here, Wes, anything else you'd like to drop on us?
We're fast approaching the trade deadline in baseball.
Yes, that's true.
Will, from our perspective, will the Red Sox be buyers or sellers? They are right now, I believe, 3 out of the wild card. 3 out of the second wild card. So, something to definitely keep your eye on. Also, college football quickly coming down the barrel, as is school football. I am in a month for my first school football game.
Oh, is it Tarboro Nash Central?
No, even better. It's Tarboro Rocky Mount.
Oh, that's it. Oh, wow. The way you said that, I thought you were going to be sarcastic.
You thought it was going to be super assholeish. No, it is actually the one that do for years.
Wow, I can't believe they're actually doing that.
They are finally doing it. So,
wow.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see.
Well then, so go always check out Wes Bradshaw when he does his wonderful high school football games.
So maybe my swan song years.
This is my swan song, let me fly. That's the second Parks and Rec reference we've had on today's podcast. Well, you're welcome, America. So, with that, that's my call and cry on Wes Bradshaw. I'm Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Foreign Affair podcast. Until next time, everyone, stay safe and enjoy the football.
And good night, America. Thanks for being great hosts to my beloved Red.
There you go. Hey, didn't even talk about the wonder goal that Kane scored in the Champions Cup the other day. It's
the Champions Cup.
As you know, you gotta as defenders of their title. What a way to come out! And
what a way. That's what she said.
There you go. So
what a way to come out. That's what she said. Yes.
Hey, the best part about it was against Wojciech Szczesny. So that was pretty great.
Totally.
Arsenal haters forever.
Our new sponsor at NGSC Sports is Cool Eye Cover, and as you can imagine, we are talking sunglasses. The perfect time for our sponsor is summer, as we all need those sunglasses. Our sponsor even has a great deal as an NGSC Sports partner. If you email esgmarketingsolutions@gmail.com, they will give you a 50% discount on your first pair of sunglasses. Visit www.cooleyecover.com and choose your glasses to receive the discount, and email esgmarketingsolutions@gmail.com for the discount coupon. We thank Cool Eye Cover for joining NGSC Sports as our new sponsor. This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.